Hey troops, Bob Daly here from the Truth for You to See. Hey, I'm going to be continuing to debunk marketing the Messiah. This is part 13. Check it out.
And who was the number one salesman for this new kind of Messiah?
The earliest references to Jesus come from the letters of the Apostle Paul.
The New Testament contains 14 letters supposedly written by Paul, but many scholars only believe 7 of those are authentic. Despite his letters being stuffed down the back of the New Testament, Paul is actually the first person who ever wrote anything about Jesus, at least as far as we know. But Paul was a bit like that friend you have who just started watching Breaking Bad. He was a bit late to the party.
Paul never met Jesus, but he knew people who knew him.
One of the things that really surprised me when I started studying Christianity was that the earliest and most prolific writer about Jesus never even knew him, never even saw him for that matter. Now, Paul says that he knew people who said they knew Jesus, but did he really know them? We've only got his word for it.
This documentary can't seem to keep its story straight. Right here, they say that Paul never met Jesus. Later, he clearly says that Paul met the ghost of Jesus.
A few years after Jesus dies, Paul goes from beating them up to becoming their number one salesperson. Why the change of heart? Well, according to his own letters, written in the late 40s CE, about 15 to 20 years after Jesus died, the ghost of Jesus appeared to Paul and told him to go preach to the Gentiles.
And then one of his other presenters said that Paul met the resurrected Jesus.
I want you to know, brothers and sisters, that the gospel I preached is not of human origin. I did not receive it from any man, nor was I taught it. Rather, I received it by revelation from Jesus Christ.
When he does mention his sources, it's the divine. It's the Lord, it's God, and it's the scriptures also.
Because he feels, well, I've got every bit as much of a right to be called an apostle as you will have. But they said, yeah, but you didn't meet Jesus. So his big answer to that is to say, I did meet Jesus. I met him on the road to Damascus. I met the resurrected Jesus.
Well, which one is it? Well, if we're talking about whether we have any recorded evidence to prove that Paul had met Jesus while he was alive, doing his ministry back and forth from Galilee to Jerusalem, there's countless times where the Pharisees had encountered Jesus, and Paul certainly could have been one of them. But we can't say that factually. But we can clearly see by the experience that Paul has on the road to Damascus that something supernatural happened to convince him that Jesus not only rose from the dead, that he is the Son of God, that this encounter completely changed him from a zealous Jew out to stomp out this aberration of Christianity, which was perverting pure Judaism. This zeal that he had was so powerful and so convicting to him that somehow this supernatural encounter on the road to Damascus completely changed him from a clearly Jesus hater, early church murderer, to a follower of Jesus Christ who is accredited to many of the doctrines that we now follow as Christians. They correspond clearly with the rest of the apostles' teaching and many of the Old Testament prophecies that point to the fact that Jesus Christ is the Messiah to fill that office and be the Savior of the world. This concludes part 13 of Marketing the Messiah. Stay tuned. I will continue to produce more.